So that's really good as well. Um, Even though we have been going more sideways lately, there are still many warning signs in the economy overall, right? There's so many warning signs that show that we might be in for a pretty big downturn. I know a lot of us are kind of waiting for when is it that we're going to fall off the cliff. We haven't done it yet. It almost feels overdue, but this could still happen. This could still happen. It's not uncommon in bear markets. We saw this in '08. We saw this in the dot-com crash. It's not uncommon for there to be some significant period of time of, sideways or slightly up before there's another significant move down. So all that to say, we don't think this bear market is fully over yet. But as we're looking at short-term trading, we want to see, okay, what's been happening in the short term. So let's grab a six-month chart here. You can see the last month we have been bullish, right? This is actually a pretty decent line right here. A lot of touches there. We moved up quite a bit, came back down. Could be pulling back down towards this line again. We'll just have to see. What's up, Benjamin? I see you there saying you made it live. Love it. Glad that you're on. I see a couple others are on as well. So yeah, last month we've been kind of bullish there. Now I did just add this additional line on the top side, right? I was looking at this chart, I was thinking, ooh, I wonder if these connect this high right here with that high. And that worked out pretty well. This pivot that we had just last, this week actually. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday right there. So Monday, Tuesday, that pivot right there, that works with this line. So I threw that line on there. We'll see how long that stays. Who knows, right? We could break out from there as well. We broke out from this downtrending resistance line and broke out with conviction, right? Quite a bit. So we may break out there. We might roll down and break this uptrending support line. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. It's pretty sideways there. So what do we do with that? That's kind of the big question, right? What do we do? Well, the conservative trader right now is going to wait and see. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with waiting. It's better waiting to see. If you're a newer trader or if you're conservative, it is much better to just sit on the sidelines when things really aren't super clear. And we like to say, keep your powder dry, right? It's so much better to do that than to be losing money in the market and giving whatever profits you might have had back to the market. The aggressive trader might look at this and say, I'm willing to be cautious and take some positions. Lately we've been a little bit bullish here, so maybe some bullish positions. I'm willing to be cautious and take some positions, but keeping in mind that things could turn around at any point. So there's some extra inherent risk in there. Yeah, Benjamin says to be patient. That's what the conservative trader would do, is to be patient. Aggressive traders, there's actually also patience that needs to be there. But we can look at some other positions, and we're going to take a look at a few of those right now. Again, guys, feel free to throw in any tickers that you want to look at, because those are my favorite, to see what you guys want to look at. But for now, let's go ahead while we're getting some of those in. I'm going to show you guys, we've done this before. This is nothing new, right? I want to use the platform, use the tools that are in the platform to see, okay, what are some things that we can be looking at now or, imminently in the next week or so, right? So we're going to come up here, find tab, and click on scans. And you guys know my favorite one, right? I'm looking at the bullish one. That's what I want to look at. And I'm looking at chart pattern rising channel. All these guys here, I just like to keep it simple. Looking for the uptrend. So I'm going to select these 9 tickers, and we're just going to send them to research, which is essentially our chart page right here. So here we go. We've got Apple we're looking at. Apple's also been pretty bullish recently, right? Got 1, 2, 3 touches, a little bit extended from this line. So we'll have to see. Moving up really nicely off the 10-day. Right? Moving up nicely off the 10-day. If you were aggressive, you could look at that as an entry. Now, what kind of trade would you do? You got to keep in mind that you've got earnings coming up May 4th. So that's about a month. So it's okay. But maybe a credit spread could be considered. Maybe a debit spread could be considered. There's several different ways you could look at this. Whichever way, I would want to make sure that I keep my position size small. This could turn around at any point, right? So there's one to look at. Meta, let's take a look at that. Just initial look right here, bottom left to the top right, right? And nothing super crazy. Yeah, that gap was kind of crazy. Look at that. That was a crazy gap on a bad earnings report, no less. Go figure. So Meta also moving up nicely. There's a bounce off the 10 today. Nice move up off the 10. Same thing. The aggressive trader could look at this right now as an entry. Earnings a little closer on this one, April 26th. So you might have to get creative there, use a weekly expiration. AMD, not as clean of a chart. Holy cow, I should clean up some of my lines. Let's get rid of the lines for a second here. I wonder if I can do this. So let's try. If we put that line on there. There we go. That was kind of cool. I could hide all the other lines and draw a new line. I don't think I've done that before. That's nice. Learn something new every day, right? So there you go. Meta coming back down to this uptrending support line. We'll see how that looks in a little bit. Annette, here we go. You got this line that I've already had up here for a while, and look at that candlestick right on that line. Now, for me personally, I still want to see that thing break through the 20 as well, right? If it's just stuck, but even though it might be moving up off my line, if it's stuck below the 20, I'm not really feeling that. You got this little M pattern going on here. You could put another line right here as well, right? Support, resistance at the 20. I want to see it break that before I'm like, I'm jumping into this. But you guys get the point. We got a few more we can look at here, but I know Benjamin's thrown in some good ones to look at. So let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla's been one that has kind of gone sideways lately too. Tesla doesn't usually go sideways, right? It's either crazy up or crazy down. But here we are. It's been going sideways for a couple months now. So, well, what do you do with that? First thing that catches my eye is April 19th is earnings, right? That's less than 2 weeks from now. It's going to be tough to do something with that, right? I mean, could you look at a short term, maybe a debit spread, like a short term position? Yes, but is this in a great pattern to do that right now? That one's arguable, right? That's going to be a tough one. I want to get another line on here. Check this line out. Right about there. See, that was support, turned into resistance, was support again, and it dropped down below there. When you throw that line on there, and this would be highly speculative, but you might be able to talk me into a bear put debit spread, very short term. You're just looking to catch a real quick move. You're going to even be out before you hit that 100 simple moving average right there, and definitely out before earnings because I wouldn't want to mess with that. But that's what I'd be looking at on Tesla, Benjamin. And that's not even a favorite trade. That's just like, well, if I had to do something, that's what I would do. All right, let's take a look. You got another one. Okay, I see. Oh, you're popping in a bunch. Sweet. General Electric. Let's take a look. Ooh, look at that. That is just very steady. I like steady. Almost boring, right? I mean, it's just not making any crazy moves. I like boring too when it comes to trading. I like that it moved up and it's just been pulling back for a few days. I'd be stalking this guy now, right? Be watching for a move up. Preferably if it can come down and move up off the 20-day, this white line, that would be awesome. But earnings, 2 weeks. It's coming up on earnings season, guys, and that can throw a lot of our potential trades under the bus. That's going to make it hard. On this one, might need to wait. If it can pull back and put in a nice bounce off the 20-day, you could look at a shorter term, again, maybe a debit spread, shorter term trade and just catch a quick move. Otherwise, for a lot of these, we might need to wait for earnings to pass. ADP, let's take a look at that one. All right, here we go. This one, also pretty decent trend, but now to the downside, right? Look, recently moved up to the 50-day, bounce down. There was a 50-day and a bounce down as well. Be nice if we could do that again. Grab a line. I'm going to put a line down here just to see that because we haven't broken this line yet. So we haven't really made a lower low on this time moving down. Again, earnings April 26th, right? All these earnings reports seem to be coming in here late April, early May. So there you have it. That's going to be a tough one to contend with as well. But as far as the pattern's concerned, if we were pretending earnings wasn't there, I'd love to see this thing break this line, come back up, bounce off the 50, move down, get into a bearish trade, right? Now that could still happen. It might just be after earnings here. MRO, let's take a look at MRO. Now this is going to be an interesting one because you're going to see a massive gap up here, right? Look at that gap up. Now, what was that gap all about? I read an article, and as soon as I saw the headlines, I was like, oh, oil's going to be bouncing up. Something, I think in Saudi Arabia, someone over there in the Middle East, they said they were going to cut crude oil production. Okay. Well, that sounds bad initially, but for the stock market, that's great, right? If you're bullish. Why is that great? Well, if we're going to cut production and reduce the supply, the demand hasn't changed, right? So if the supply goes down, the demand is staying the same. That means that your supply to demand ratio is going to be a little bit out of whack, and that'll just raise prices. Higher prices, higher profits. So there you have it. Marathon Oil, pretty much every oil company was up significantly. It gapped up on Monday. So pulling back a little bit right now, holding at the 5-day. So that's nice. If we could see a candle moving up and taking out one of the previous candles to show that it's going to use the 5-day as support and it's going to move up, I could look at, you could look at a bullish trade, shorter term, again, earnings May 3rd, but still got some time there. So things that could be considered, but right now, each day it is closed a little bit lower. Today, it's still a little bit lower than yesterday. Now, if it moved up and closed around, say, $26 a day, that could be a different story then, right? That could be better. All right, looking at Hood. Benjamin, just sending them in. Love it. I love it. Thanks for that, Benjamin. Looking at Robinhood. I'll keep my opinions of Robinhood to myself. I'll just say that. But wow, that guy is sideways. Just going straight sideways at exactly $10 a share right now. So there you go. Even though it was exactly sideways, it's not the easiest one to. Let's try and get some lines on here. It's not the prettiest for lines. There's one there. Yeah, let's grab that line there. Not the prettiest rolling stock, but let's take a look at this. So you can see a little anomaly on the top side, followed by a little anomaly on the bottom side. That makes sense. Hits resistance, comes down, hits support, moves up. So that's nice. I look at this right here. There's a trade that comes to mind immediately. Again, if earnings wasn't soon. There's a sideways trade or strategy that comes to mind immediately that we do teach in our workshop series, right? But for right now, our regular steps 1 through 4, this is going to be a challenge, right? We've missed the buy point. I would say the buy point, maybe this day right here. This day, if you're super conservative, but that's almost a late buy point right there. That's going to be a tough one. But anyway, we're right in the middle of the channel right now. I would watch this guy. It's been moving sideways pretty nicely. So I would just watch this guy, right? See if it can come up, hit resistance, bounce down. And then once earnings is behind this, look for that next entry. That'd be what I'd be considering right there. All right, let's take a look at TELL. Tellurian. All right. Let's grab some lines on this guy. Actually, I want to zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, moving down quite a bit. This is a very, very low dollar stock. I had not heard of Tellurian. I don't know, maybe I should have. It is okay, it's energy. Oil and gas energy. Let's go 6 month. I'm gonna put some lines on here. Let's do that right there. So if I'm looking at this, 1, 2, 3 touches today, looks like that's breaking out from that downtrending resistance. On higher volume too, and the day's not even over, so that volume really is going to be pretty good. This does not necessarily mean that, oh yeah, let's all jump into it, right? This just means that there's some potential that this thing could be turning around finally. Um, but there's some other concerns too, right? When it's this cheap of a stock, there's pros and cons to this, right? So the pro is don't even worry about options. You have leverage, right? Let's say you got in this morning at the beginning at $1.27, and now you're at $1.53. You're already up 20 something percent on just the stock, right? So you don't need to leverage more. You don't need options. It might have options. Yeah, it's got options. Liquidity is terrible though. So I didn't think it would be any good with this cheap of a stock. So that's the pros. You already have leverage built in. The con is, well, it's a dollar stock, or now it's $1.50. How good is that, right? The leverage works both ways too. If you buy a stock that's $1 and it only goes down 15 cents the next day, that's down 15% on a stock trade. That hurts, right? That hurts. Usually on a stock trade, if I'm looking to put a stop out in there, I'm looking at maybe a 3 to 5%, 8 tops, right? But I want to keep that pretty tight. So that's kind of the con to this. Now, this pattern has been downtrending. We might be breaking out to the upside here, but I would want to see a consistent pattern. You won't get a consistent pattern out of this until after earnings. So don't have to worry about that. Let earnings pass and then come back to it. This is one, maybe you put in your calendar or something like that. Hey, May 4th, 5th, somewhere in there, come back and take a look, see what Tellurian has done. The one thing that does stand out to me though, and it did say here, oil and gas. I just said on MRO that just about every oil stock had jumped up, right? Because of that news, but this one didn't. So I'm like, okay, why? Why did this one not jump up on that news? So when I see a stock and it's underperforming per the industry, then that is a little bit concerning. I don't want to be trading weaker stocks unless I'm trading to the downside, right? I don't want to be trading weaker stocks in that industry. All right, Benjamin, since you're throwing in so many good ones, we're gonna rapid fire these last four here: AMC, FOA, F, and actually we're gonna skip Ford. There's a potential conflict of interest on Ford, so we'll skip that one, but we've got plenty to go through here. Looking at AMC. All right, I want to get a AMC is kind of, remember that was that Reddit stock, right? It did some crazy things back in, well, right here. That was pretty crazy. Ever since then, it's just been kind of coming down, almost a bearish wedge look to it. Could grab, let's try and grab this line here. That's close. It's close. So there you go. And that almost coincides with that high right there as well. The support line, not as good of a line that we can throw on there. I can throw a little one here though. So all that to say, the question is really, what are we gonna do with this, right? AMC coming back down. Oh wow, I didn't even realize that it was back down to $4 or $5 a share, right? I remember when it was at 20 or, then all the way up to $30, $36 a share. So it's really come down quite a bit. I'm going to pull this line to the left. See how that line right there used to be some resistance right there. And now it's support right in here. So that gives it some more weight, right? So that gives it some more weight. That makes me think, okay, if that's a stronger line right there, then maybe if we get a good bounce off that. But that's a pretty big gap and a bounce right there. I wouldn't want to hop in right now. If you put your stop loss just below support, let's say we're going to put a stop at 372 and the price now is 494. That's like a 25% stop loss on a stock trade. That's not what I'm looking for, right? So that's going to be a tough one to work with. I would probably just want to move on to a different one. FOA, let's take a look at FOA. Ooh, finance. Okay, so a lot of finance companies, banks, they kind of been going a little crazy lately with some of the news. This one, crazy to the upside. I don't know what the news is that's surrounding this particular stock, but obviously look at that move, right? Here's another one where it's like, hey, you got $1 or so stock, you don't need the leverage of options, right? In fact, let's do this. I'm curious. Okay, so usually I just want to move off to the side here time-wise so I can see what the average volume was. And average volume, as you can see here, 71,000, not great. Now, today, whatever is happening today, of course, that volume is 20 million plus. So that's going to be different right there. But not a great pattern. This thing's obviously gone wild. So I wouldn't touch this one right now. Fun to look at, but no pattern to really work with. AGI is the last one we're going to take a look at today. Okay, here we go. Alamos Gold. Bottom left to the top right. Cheaper stock, but not too cheap, right? It's not like we're dealing with a $1 stock where it's like, oof, there's that can be problematic at times, right? This guy's been hot, just riding the 5-day. Look at that, just riding the 5-day. Now that can turn around at any point and you could have a nice healthy pullback, right? So the conservative trader will wait for that healthy pullback and then start moving up again. The aggressive trader might just hop on board, right? You might just hop on board right now at the 5-day. But if you do that, then your stop out probably should be the 5-day, right? So if I hop in right now, let's just say a stock trade, we'll keep it simple. Although this probably has, no, liquidity is bad on the options. So, yep, not looking at options on here, but let's just say a stock trade. Let's say we're hopping in here $13 a share. If my stop out's the 5-day, then maybe I put, call it, if it hits 1262 or something like that, right? That's a pretty tight stop. It's been above the 5-day for a month. So if it's going to come below the 5-day, I want out because we might be looking at this down turn right here. But who knows? If I can catch that and just ride it up to 1350 and then it comes down, you could be looking at a little profit in there. So that's not wrong to do. Sometimes to just hop onto one that's just running up on the 5-day EMA. That's not wrong to do. You just need to know what you're doing. You just need to know how to manage that properly as well. And that means a tight stop out. That means if it turns into an expense, that's okay. That is okay. But sometimes, you catch it at the right time, and this thing could run up to $14. You buy at 13, you sell at 14. That's a decent profit on a stock trade. Very decent. All right, guys, thanks for being on today. We have next week our Word on Investing Summit. Okay, this is a free event all day, Friday and Saturday. And we're going to have some incredible speakers. Myron Golden, he's going to be there. The Benham brothers are going to be speaking. Auntie Anne's going to be speaking. So you will not want to miss it. I dropped the link in there. Both Facebook, YouTube should be able to see that in the comments right there. That's just the registration so you can get signed up and everything. There's going to be prizes, giveaways, all kinds of stuff, right? And the whole purpose of this Word on Investing Summit is to encourage you, right? It's to encourage you in your business ventures, whether that's trading or something else, right? So please check it out. If you can't make it for all of it, that's okay. Try and make it for whatever part you can. Even if you can only be there for 1 of the 2 days, it will be worth your time. I promise that. So check that out. You got the link right there. I look forward to seeing you guys there. Next week, Thursday, I'll be traveling again, so we'll have someone else filling in. But I know you guys enjoy seeing different perspectives. So, Ruth, yes, it will be online. That link right there will allow you to register. You'll get the Zoom link, so it's all online. So you can watch it from the comfort of your home. You're able to just kind of have it playing while you do your day-to-day things. Or potentially even at work, just have it playing in the background so you can learn things and be encouraged through that. So, again, I won't be with you next week, but it might be Jeffrey, it might be Dave. Who knows, right? It's kind of a surprise. We'll see who's on next week, and I'll be with you the week after. But I'll be on the summit as well, so I'll see you guys there. All right, thanks, guys.